So hey guys, I just got done with a doctor's visit. I have some serious fatigue issues that have been plaguing me for a while now, and I'm trying to get it figured out. Trying to find out if it's, low testosterone levels, iron deficiency, or something along those lines. I've been to a psychologist and therapist, and we've been trying to treat for depression as well. The first round of antidepressants didn't really work the way I'd hoped, so now I'm trying some blood work, urine samples, all that good stuff, try to see what the issue is. Just remember guys, it's no shame in going and getting help if you need it. So anyways, that's how I started my day off. Got this wonderful shot right here. And now I'm gonna go try to get some work done before I go meet my wife for lunch. I'll see you guys here in a bit. Okay, so done with the doctor for the day. Won't really know what's causing all this fatigue until next week. According to him, he had to send off some blood samples to a lab to get some results back. So we won't know about that until next week. I had lunch with my wife, had a great time. Didn't film that, obviously. Wanted to protect her anonymity and confidentiality. Also, she's a teacher, so they have this thing about filming on school property, and yeah, I understand it. Don't want to get kids in the shots. So anyways, I'm here at a park. I figured we'd have this conversation in the park because it's such a beautiful day. Why waste it, So got my camera gear. We're here at a baseball park. There were two questions that I heard, and the individuals that answered those questions, they did a really good job answering those. But, I had a couple of answers of my own to add into it, so I didn't want to just hijack them, but I thought that you guys might actually get some value out of these questions and what my ideas are on them. So the two questions in particular are, when do you know if you are giving up or quitting while you're ahead? Is there a difference between giving up and quitting while you're ahead? That was one of the questions. And the other question is, what do you do when you have no motivation? Like, for instance, getting up early and going to the gym, going for a run or whatnot. What do you do when you have no motivation? And so those are the two questions that we are going to answer here at the park. So I'm going to go ahead and get my gear set up here. I might just use one of these dugouts. I'm at a baseball park, so I might just use one of these dugouts. And yeah, we'll just go from there. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you about these two questions. Let's start off with the first one. Quit while you're ahead versus giving up. So how do you know the difference between quitting while you're ahead and giving up? Well, I don't like to think of it that way. To me, if I quit while I'm ahead, that's still quitting. That's still giving up. If I can keep going, I should keep going. Especially if I'm not repositioning myself to do something else. Now you can look at what Seinfeld did with his show Seinfeld. And they were at the top of the charts. He was at the top of his game with that show when they decided not to continue making more seasons, not to continue making more episodes. Is that quitting while you're ahead? Well, yeah, we can look at it that way. He stopped making more episodes of Seinfeld. Sorry, we got some hecklers over here. But he didn't stop. He went on to make other things. He's still active. He's still doing things. He quit the show while the show was ahead. But he never quit. Now, I've seen that happen with some other people in their career fields as well. They are at the top of their game in what they're doing. Let's say I have a friend who's in sales, all right, and he was making six figures easy. He was one of the top salesmen at the company, but that wasn't doing it for him. He wasn't finding meaning in it. It wasn't meaningful for him. It wasn't purposeful for him. He had another goal in mind that he wanted to pursue. and it was helping people. It was more along the lines of charity work, to be honest. So he actually quit his 6-figure job while he was the top sales representative. He quit his 6-figure job. So now he's working for this nonprofit where he's making $50K a year, but it's meaningful for him. He didn't quit the sales position while he was ahead, even though that's what ended up happening. He was ahead in sales. He quit. He repurposed himself. He repurposed his life. He went off to go and do this other thing. So you could say he quit this while he was ahead, but that wasn't the goal. That wasn't the motivation behind it. He had other passions, other pursuits that he wanted to go after. So that's what he did. He quit what he was doing to reposition his life to do something else that was more meaningful, that gave his life more value in return. I mean, it's not monetary value, but it's value to him. And so, did he quit while he was ahead? I've asked that question several times. Yeah, sure. In sales, he did. But he went on to go do something more meaningful to him. So the question of quit while you're ahead versus giving up, it's what's the motivation behind it? I mean, are you quitting what you're doing while you're ahead because you don't find meaning in it, joy in it, and you want to go and find something where you have passion, where you can actually contribute and find value in it? Then yeah, sure, go for that. Just reposition your life. Don't quit, reposition. Find something else that brings you joy and happiness. The other thing is, how do you know the difference between quitting while you're ahead and giving up? Well, why are you quitting? For him, it was a passion project. For somebody else that might have been in his position, they might have seen another sales representative, a new one, coming up behind him, ready to pass him in numbers, ready to take his position as number one sales representative in the company. And if he quit because he didn't want that taken from him while he was still there, then yeah, that's giving up. Because he could have gone out, he could have made more sales to cover the gap. He could have done everything he could to make sure that he never got passed as the number one sales representative. It's all about your motivation behind it. Are you quitting because you're afraid of failing in the future? Are you quitting because you're afraid you're going to fail? Are you quitting because you're afraid somebody else is going to come up and knock you off of your while you're ahead status? So those are questions you've got to ask yourself. If you ask me, quitting while you're ahead is no different than giving up. The thing is, are you giving up because you're afraid, or are you giving up because there's something more meaningful you could be doing with your time? If that's the case, absolutely repurpose your life, repurpose yourself, reposition yourself to go and do that thing that's more meaningful, that you find joy and passion in. Go do that. But don't say that you're quitting while you're ahead when the truth of the matter is that you're giving up because you're afraid you're going to fail. You're afraid that you're going to do something or somebody else is going to come up and pass you, and that's going to knock you off of your while I'm ahead status. The other question is motivation. How do you motivate yourself when you're not feeling motivated? What I see here is there is a difference between motivation and self-discipline. I'll be honest with you. I don't feel motivated to pay my bills. I don't feel motivated to get up every morning and go to work. I do it because that's self-discipline. I do it because I have to. I do it because it's something that needs to be done. And if I don't make myself do it, it's not going to get done. And that's where I see a lot of people mess up. They're waiting for motivation when they just need to get out and do it. Motivation is a feeling. I don't feel motivated. Well, okay, when did your feelings ever have to do with the things that you have to get done? Like, I don't feel like paying my bills. I don't feel like getting out of bed in the morning to go to work, but I have to do it. It's something that has to be done. But where do I find motivation in doing that? Just the fact that I don't give myself any other option. It's all down to self-discipline. If I don't discipline myself, believe me, my boss is going to. If I don't pay my bills, my lights get shut off, my water gets shut off, the trash doesn't get picked up, the internet goes down. I have to pay my bills. Even if I don't feel like it, I have to pay them. I have to go to work. Even if I don't feel like it, I have to go to work so that I can make the money to pay the bills. So if you take that mindset that motivation is just feeling. Some days I feel like going to work. Some days I feel good about what I'm doing. Some days I feel pumped in the mornings to get up. I've got some extra energy, some extra pep in my step. I can get to work. I feel good. I'm talking to my coworkers, my team lead, my supervisor, all that. Other days, I'm just in a funk and I don't want to do it, but I still have to do it because it doesn't matter how I feel. My motivation does not determine whether or not I get to stay home from work. My motivation does not determine whether or not I pay my bills. I still have to pay my bills. That's still necessary. So if you apply that to other areas, like how do I get motivated to go to the gym? Well, what happens if you don't go to the gym? You feel lazy, you become overweight, out of shape, you're not as healthy as you could be. That's a consequence of that choice. You don't feel like going, so you don't go, so now you're out of shape. That's just like, I don't feel like paying my bills, so I don't pay my bills, now I have no electricity. I don't feel like going to work, so I don't go to work, so now I don't have a job. Just because you don't feel like doing something, if it's something that's necessary, if it's something that you need to do it. Find the way to get self-discipline in order to do it. Don't wait for motivation. Build up self-discipline to go and do the thing so that motivation comes afterwards. Because if you can be self-disciplined enough in the beginning of the process, because you're not going to see instant results if you go to the gym, what you're going to see is you're getting tired, you're getting sore, you're not necessarily getting more tone, you're not necessarily getting more muscle, you're not necessarily losing weight immediately. Find the self-discipline to get yourself to the gym, or to go out running, or to take your kids to the park, whatever it is. Find the self-discipline to do that action, to take that step. Do it enough times. Eventually you will start seeing the results, and eventually those results will start helping you find the motivation to keep going. And all that's going to do is it's going to build that motivation, it's going to build that self-discipline, and eventually it's going to make you want to. It's going to make you feel like you need to do that. So don't worry about motivation, build self-discipline. Because trust me, motivation comes and goes. You can wake up one morning and feel completely motivated. The next morning, you have no motivation whatsoever. What stays the same is your self-discipline. Be self-disciplined, get yourself out there and do it. I'm gonna be honest with you, I am not motivated right now to do my schoolwork. I am not motivated right now to do the lesson for leadership training that I have to do. We've got company. Sounds like a train. Yeah, just had a train go by. Yeah, I am a full-time husband, full-time father of two, full-time employee, full-time student with a full course load. I do leadership training for a ministry that I'm involved in, helping people who struggle with their life issues. I don't feel motivated to do that all the time. I don't feel motivated to go and create training materials for the leadership training. I don't feel like getting on my computer, pulling up my homework assignments, and sitting down and writing a 6-page essay on organic foods. Okay, but I have to do it. And it's not gonna get done if I base that off of my feeling, if I base that off of my motivation. It's just not gonna get done. But I know if I do this, if I have self-discipline enough to get out there, do the coursework, do what I need to do, the end result is a business degree. If I do the lesson, if I write it up, if I go out and I train these people, the end result is that we're going to have more effective leaders in a ministry for people that are broken and trying to find a new way of living their life that doesn't involve drinking and drug use and anger and all these different things. If I don't get out of bed and go to work, then I don't get to pay my bills, and my family doesn't get to eat, and we don't have a place to live, because these are all necessary in order for me to sustain where we're at. The same can be said about going to the gym. Look at the cost-benefit analysis. What's your life gonna look like if you don't go to the gym? What's your life gonna look like if you do go to the gym? So I know I rambled just a little bit there. I apologize for that. But the fact of the matter is, you can't wait until you feel like it. Motivation is nothing but a feeling, and motivation comes and goes as it pleases. Self-discipline is what you have to pour into. Don't wait for motivation. be self-disciplined, get out there, do what you know you need to do. Quitting while you're ahead versus giving up, it's all the same to me. If you're quitting, at least know why you're doing it. If you're quitting while you're at the top of your game because you want to reposition your life to go and pursue something that you're passionate about, that's not quitting. That's repositioning your life to go and pursue things that you're passionate about. You might not be doing this other thing anymore. You might quit that thing, but that doesn't mean you're giving up. What that means is you're actually pursuing something with meaning. You're pursuing something that you find value in. So go for that. Anyways, the wind's starting to pick up. We've got company, train going by, all that good stuff. Let's pick this up back at the house. Okay, so I have been without coffee for long enough, and I'm gonna change that. All right, now that I've got my coffee, everything's good to go. Oh man, I love that French press coffee pot. So today, I talked to you about some questions that I'd heard, my thoughts on them. Long story short on that, it's quitting while you're ahead versus giving up. That's all a matter of what your intention is. If you're quitting something to pursue something else that you find more meaningful, rock it, man, don't give up. But if you're not finding value in what you're currently doing and you want to go and pursue this other thing because it gives you joy and you find value in it, go for it. You're not quitting. You're not quitting while you're ahead. You're not giving up. You're repurposing yourself. As far as motivation is concerned, self-discipline. Focus on self-discipline. Let motivation come and go as it will. But at least work on self-discipline because sometimes you just don't feel like it. And motivation can be a fickle friend. So if you do that, you should be just fine. I mean, let's look at my wife's grandfather. He's in his 80s and he still works on a cattle farm. Just last year, I believe it was, he was up on a roof looking at shingles for damage so that he could fix it. The reason he does this is because he knows if he ever stops working, he's not going to stay as capable as he is right now. His health's going to decline, his capabilities and abilities are going to decline, and that's the same with anything you do. If you ever stop doing something, you're not going to stay in the exact spot that you quit. You're going to continue to decline and decline and decline. So when you quit, at least know your reason why. You can put a bow on it, wrap it however you want, call it quitting while you're ahead. But if the reason is because you're afraid you're going to fail or you're afraid somebody else is going to come up and take that number one spot from you, call it what it is. It's fear. Don't quit out of fear. But if you quit like my friend who was the number one sales rep who went to go and pursue a job with a nonprofit, rock that, man. But just know your why. That's all it ever comes down to. Know your why. And with that, cheers guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.